Well, I don't think I'm going to surprise anyone here. Lesbians and gays have exploded into the media. Now, it used to be possible to read every book, see every movie, and catch every television show that made reference to being gay or lesbian. That doesn't happen anymore. News stories are appearing almost every week on television and in the newspapers. Primetime television has had a high of up to 30 gay characters, and Hollywood has found that they can make millions of dollars with gay and lesbian themes. It seems that gay people have gone from being invisible to becoming inescapable. But what about advertising, this form of media that we can't seem to escape? Now, we're all exposed to hundreds of messages every day, but how many of them make reference to being lesbian or gay? Well, many more than you might think. Now, in fact, a recent study found that 90% of Americans now say that they know someone lesbian or gay. That's an estimated group, by the way, of 17 million to 25 million people in this country, representing about 7 to 10% of the population. Gay and lesbian themed ads are popping up around the world and in our own backyards, but we don't get to see them very much because they don't appear for very long, or they might appear just in a narrow place. But as they increase, what is advertising saying to the mainstream about gay people? Now, many of you may have heard of the famous IKEA commercial that ran back in 1994 that featured a gay couple together. Raise your hand if you ever saw that actual ad. Just a couple of you. It didn't air very much. It only aired in a few cities, and in those places even was nearly too hot to handle. We'll talk more about that one soon. Today, more and more ads are making reference to lesbian and gay presence, though not always from a positive standpoint. Gay and transgender stereotypes and homophobia remain an often used tool for comedy in advertising. And although the LGBT community, that's lesbian and gay, bisexual and transgender, comes in just about every color, age, religion, ability, political stripe, profession, financial background, and national origin, diversity remains sorely lacking in this area. As a result, gay has a very narrow look. It looks almost always young, white, and male, or often men dressed as women. And those people of color, lesbians, and of varied ages remain on the periphery. But there are a handful of portrayals starting to make their way through that are positive. Many of you may have heard of or even seen a commercial for John Hancock Insurance that aired recently on the Olympics and World Series. It featured a lesbian couple who were adopting a baby. Raise your hand if you may have seen that one. Oh, even fewer. Okay. For gays and lesbians, being included in advertising feels like a step toward validation, toward acceptance by society. It's as if they can have a place at this IKEA table. But even though ad agency executives like to think of themselves as hip and cutting edge because it's a creative industry, the reality is that clients are usually conservative and don't allow a great deal of progressiveness going on. And advertising, even while it likes to think of itself as a mirror of what society looks like, I would argue that it's a delayed mirror at best, particularly when you consider what America looks like today. If you look at Hispanics, Asians, lesbians, and gays, of course. And as a result, the reality that we're seeing is, or the reality is not being represented in advertising because that's not what sells products. Advertising likes to show us an ideal world, one that everyone is beautiful in, one that is, not including things such as biracial couples or people with disabilities, and certainly people who are lesbian or gay. And that's because depicting diversity of race, age, and sexuality remains low on the list of priorities for most corporations, unless that happens to also be a target that they're looking to reach. After all, advertising is not about social change. It's about selling products. And regardless of the $200 million or so that's spent every year by major corporations to reach out directly to the gay and lesbian market, and there are many familiar brands doing this today, United Airlines, American Express, Subaru, Xerox, IBM, and many others. Television is a broad medium. We'll be looking only at television today, and its ads almost never target actual niche groups like lesbians and gays because those people are a minority of the audience. And as a minority of the audience, most mainstream advertising that does make reference to lesbian, gay, and transgender people doesn't do so for targeting, but for other reasons. Some of those reasons might include, unfortunately, leveraging the discomfort that society has about this subject for humor. Sometimes it's about breaking through the clutter, as they say in the ad industry, to get our attention. And sometimes it's about seeking a cool or hip image. And every so often it is also about reflecting the diversity and looking to show enlightenment. So my program today is going to show you how companies have used both homophobia as well as same-sex kisses to sell just about everything from jeans to juice over the last 30 years, although it's not a cut-and-dried chronology. For a bit of quick background, this project got started as far back as 1996, when I was still working at Advertising Age magazine. And I was on a panel at the time about gay and lesbian images in media. I was asked by the director at the time of the New York Gay and Lesbian Film Festival to put together a lecture about gay commercials. And at the time I said I'd be happy to do it, but it's going to be pretty short, right? After all, how many gay commercials are there? Well, it did come together. I told all the ad agencies who I dealt with on a daily basis what I was working on, and they began funneling things my way. And before I knew it, I had, believe it or not, more material than I had time or space to actually show. This project has grown a lot since 1996. And a couple of years ago, I left the magazine that I had been working for to begin devoting myself full-time to this project, which is now a nonprofit education and journalism organization dedicated to charting the evolving worldwide portrayals of lesbians and gays in this powerful medium of advertising, and educating companies on how to become more aware of the representation that they've been doing for so long and to do a better job of this representation. And that's because I think advertising can do a lot more than change just brand preferences. I think it can also change how we think about each other. This project is supported through foundation grants, through corporate sponsorships, including most recently Subaru and Showtime Networks, who I'm affiliated with, and donations from individuals. And the work that I do includes proactively reaching out directly to corporations and to their ad agencies and the world at large with various elements of the program, including this video lecture, through public relations, through my syndicated column, and through the resources that I've put together at the website commercialcloset.org for the project. Please raise your hand if you've actually visited commercialcloset.org and seen what's there. Okay, great. What we'll be looking at today, all of the commercials are available at that website if you want to get a closer look at them. And in fact, many, many more. I have an archive of over 1,000 ads from around the world that go as far back as 1917, many of which are also print and a lot of gay marketing specific, even though we won't be talking about gay marketing today. I have over 500 TV commercials in the collection from 6 continents. And almost all of those were collected directly from the ad agencies. So today you're going to get a look at the best and the worst of my collection from around the world. We're going to look at 10 categories and deal with gay, lesbian, and transgender in negative, equal, and positive portrayals. We'll have a short section on politics and PSAs, a section on gay vague that deals with ambiguous relationships, another called lesbian chic, and one called Straight Dude Looks Like a Lady. So in fact, a lot of these ads are entertaining and funny, and I want you to feel free to enjoy yourselves and laugh if you feel the need. Just don't laugh too hard or we may have to write your name down. But our first section is called Hustlers, Queens, Pornographers, Pedophiles, Leathermen, and the Village People. Now a word from our sponsors.